Every album can't be at Fillmore East. Here's a bit on the Allman Brothers Band's worst album, Brothers of the Road. And no shit, every time I call anything the worst, this record in particular, people get all over my case on social media as if the Allman Brothers Band never put out a bad album. Or they are unable to be ranked at the lower tier. I don't know what it is, and I'm being really cheeky here. There's no disputing. I don't think, some people have said they think that Reach for the Sky is worse. I'm going to tell you, because Brothers of the Road doesn't have J-Mo, it's the worst album. Trust me, I'm a doctor.
Worst Allman Brothers record in history. If you'd asked me 2 days ago, I would have said there wasn't a single fan in the world who would not have chosen 1981's Brothers of the Road. This one was released at the absolute nadir of the band, and if you just look at the album cover, first of all, it's just it's such a pathetic album cover. As I wrote, you got Mike Lawler above my head, looking like he's fixing to go hunting, hopefully with his guitar, and destroy that thing. Over there on the other side, Frankie Toller is dressed alternative uniform for the Houston Astros. Greg's gonna go to a tiki bar soon. At least Butch wore a hat, but the only guy there that looks like he's prepared for an album cover shoot is Dickie Betts. I could keep bragging on that picture. Where's J-Mo? So here's the other, just the travesty of this record is they kicked J-Mo out of the band about a year before it came out, like November of 1980. He was out of the band, and the guy dressed, I guess he's all the way to the right there in the purple and blue stripe. That's Frankie Toller, David Frankie Toller, who Dan Toller's brother. You can see the two guys standing there. They are definitely brothers, for sure. Anyway, J-Mo was kicked out of the band for any variety of reasons, but a lot of it was personality conflicts between all of them. When you listen to this record and you listen to the one that was released before it, super, super, super warp speed fast. I always say it kind of sounds like brought to you by cocaine. And of course, on both those records, Reach for the Sky, 1980, 1981's Brothers of the Road, Mike Lawler got a chance to show off his synthesizer chops. And honestly, terrible, terrible, terrible fit with the music. But here's the thing. I don't care for it at all. In fact, I don't own this record, never have. I've listened to it maybe once in my life. I've listened to songs from it, etc. But there are major defenders of Brothers of the Road out there in the world. And I met a whole bunch of them, as many as were out there. And some people taking offense to me calling the album the Allman Brothers Band's worst, as if anything the Allman Brothers put out, nothing could be considered worst, which doesn't make any sense, right? If you have a list of 13 official records, what's worse than Brothers of the Road? And the two that came up, one was Reach for the Sky. People said Reach for the Sky. I certainly equally tired to my ears, but it's got J-Mo. And the second one, somebody said Win, which gave me pause to think and say, why is Win, Lose, or Draw not the Allman Brothers Band's worst album? Because, well, it's got High Falls, for one. And it's also got Can't Lose What You Never Had, which are just two all-timers for them. It's not a great record front to back, of course, but it's not this, in my not-so-humble opinion. Story goes that Clive Davis at Arista Records, who had signed both the Allman Brothers and the Grateful Dead about around the same time, insisted the Allman Brothers bring in co-writers and other producers, and made their sound. They were looking for hits, and it made their sound completely different and didn't work at all. And the reviews right out of the gate on both the records, Reach for the Sky and Brothers of the Road, were not very good. And in January of 1982, shortly after this record came out, the Allman Brothers Band broke up for another 7 years. If you've done any searching for Allman Brothers Band on YouTube, you will find this video. It's the Allman Brothers Band playing in January of 1982 in Gainesville, Florida. And you'll see the band still ripped live on stage. There were issues. I don't dig this era of the band. I don't think they needed the background singers. Ultimately, I don't think Frankie Toller and Butch were as good a mix. Nobody was as good a mix as Butch and J-Mo. That's just a fact. The guitar was an absolute travesty. Just look it up. It doesn't fit. I understand the band's attempts to do it. People who saw the Allman Brothers in 1980, 81, 82 all speak glowingly about it, like I did when I saw them for the first time in 1993. That speaks volumes to not only their reputation, but also them living up to that reputation as a great live act. So Brothers of the Road, universally reviled. Well, I guess not universally reviled. I would say that we're in the high 90% of the fans interacting on my social media. Way more people defending Brothers of the Road than ever in a million years I expected to hear. Long live the Allman Brothers Band.
All right, after 3 days of discussion about Brothers of the Road among Allman Brother fans on a whole bunch of Long Live the ABB social media accounts, I'm going to revise my statement that Brothers of the Road is the Allman Brothers Band's worst album. A lot of people took offense at that term, worst. So I'm going to call it the Allman Brothers Band's least best album. Brothers of the Road 1981, featuring the JMO List lineup, along with officially Mike Lawler on guitar, Frankie Toller there all the way to the right on drums in JMO's place. I'm still going to go on record and say this is the worst Allman Brothers Band album cover, period. Only Dickie looks like he was showed up ready to take an album cover shoot, and they're standing there by the side of the road. But again, not the worst. People have a problem with that. It's the least best. Long live the Allman Brothers Band. Bonus cut. Here's bass player David Goldfleece talking about the two albums, Reach for the Sky and Brothers of the Road.
But do you have any memories of that record, Reach for the Sky?
I have some memories, but not much about the music. It was done up in Chattanooga. I remember that.
Yep.
And it was a lonely time for me for some reason. And it was just not digging where I was. I wasn't digging being isolated on this mountaintop alone. I mean, and I do remember there seemed to be a lot of inebriation. Let's be diplomatic. To the point, as I recall, the studio had a tank of nitrous oxide, and it had a hose on it that was probably 300 feet long. So you could go almost anywhere in the property and take a hit of nitrous oxide. And people did. And I'm not sure that was a good thing, but it was a thing. The sessions don't really stand out to me. I don't think because it was high, it didn't stand out. We kind of went through the motions of playing the album. Didn't feel I don't feel like, I guess looking back now, I have so little memory. I guess I wasn't as engaged or something. The engagement was off. Wasn't that the Lawler and Cobb album?
Yes. So they produced it, and then I think Mike played on this record, and then joined the band for the next one.
That's
so
right.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I think it was their studio.
Mike was quite a character, man. I'm glad he lived. He lived. Yes, I mean that, and he would understand totally. But I think the Straight from the Heart, that was on that album, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it didn't feel like the right music for the band. I didn't feel like what we've been doing. It might have been the right music. Again, I'm not a decision maker in the band, but it was like dun dun dun. It just like all the feel was gone, and we just did this thing. It felt constructed. I'm still friends with Johnny Cobb. I haven't talked to Mike in a long time, and Johnny's a great guy, man, a great writer. He's a very pop writer, though. It's very pop.
Yeah, and that's what they were looking for. What do you remember about the breakup?